Man, what a way to start the off season, right? Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's DLloyd. It has been entirely too long since I made a last video, but of course, we have to make a video today because we have some breaking news here in the NBA. Now, I am back. I'm going to be posting regularly all off season long and of course throughout the regular season. So if you would go ahead and do me a favor and subscribe, I would definitely appreciate that, and like this video as well, man. But we need to talk about Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns, because it seems like Kevin Durant forms super teams out of nowhere constantly. Like, this man has a superpower. No matter where he goes, KD is going to form a super team, as the Phoenix Suns have traded for Washington Wizards star player Bradley Beal. Now, they didn't have to give up much. Bradley Beal, he talked with the Washington Wizards. They said they were going to help him out. They were going to help him relocate, but he had a no trade clause in his contract, which means he pretty much could dictate the terms and the team that he will be willing to go to, which would impact the trade value, because teams know they don't have to give up everything. They don't have to give up the farm to get Bradley Beal, because Bradley Beal does not want to go to a team that has nothing left, right? So he wants to go to a team that can help him win and win now. And for Phoenix, they have pieces already there. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. Now you add in, of course, Bradley Beal to that equation, and you have one heck of a four-man roster. That's basically all they have in Phoenix right now. Now, in exchange for Bradley Beal, they did not have to give up very much at all. Chris Paul, Landry Shamet are going to be the two players being shipped to Washington. Now, we already knew Chris Paul was probably going to be released at some point unless they could find a trade partner, which they did. Good news for Chris Paul is he gets an extra $10 million since he has been traded, but I do fully expect a buyout to take place with the Washington Wizards. He is ineligible to re-sign with the Phoenix Suns, so if anybody was thinking or hoping maybe he could come back cheaper, that could not happen. In addition to those two players, they are going to trade multiple second-round picks. Now, we don't have the exact details, but this is the framework of the trade right now. Multiple second-round picks. Why not first-round picks, you may be asking? Well, because, of course, the Phoenix Suns don't have any that is eligible to be traded. Now, they do have some pick swaps, so I would assume there will be quite a few of those in there, but no first-round draft picks being shipped out outright to the Washington Wizards. Which means for Bradley Beal, you have a pretty solid team to go to, at least starting five, right? Because the Suns have 4 max players on the roster. And with those 4 max players, that means you have no money to go out and get another team or the rest of your players, right? Because it is essentially those 4 and a bunch of Uber drivers, like I just said, man. So for Phoenix, they're going to have to make things work. Now, right away, I would expect DeAndre Ayton could be a potential target for some teams. If you could get back some assets, right? Maybe some extra pieces here and there, because DeAndre Ayton really is not going to want to play there now, because you're now the 4th option on that team. So if you could get some extra assets that could fill in your 6-man role, you know, fill out your 2 other starters, play people like that, I think that is the ideal scenario for the Phoenix Suns. Even if it's just draft picks, I think that is the ideal scenario for the Phoenix Suns. Get something back, right? And then you just have 3 max guys on your team instead of 4. Because as much as I would love to think in the current NBA, you could win with just a few star players, I don't think that's the way the NBA works anymore, right? Anytime we've seen the big 3, it hasn't quite panned out. You need at least 8 deep off your bench, right? You need on your roster, right? At least 3 deep on your bench, preferably, you know, a 9-man rotation, maybe even a 10-man, but you're going to for sure need an 8-9-man rotation. So you're going to need those pieces to help fill out that roster. And I think that was the biggest problem with the Phoenix Suns this last postseason. They had no depth, and that lack of depth got them out of the playoffs. So I don't want to get too caught up in getting the star players. That's nice. They're going to be a great team in 2K, but unless you get some depth, there's only so far you could go with that roster. So I think that will be a focal point for the Phoenix Suns. Now, with that said, will you get a lot of veteran players that will come down for the minimum to try to win a championship? Absolutely. And we've seen that time and time again with other super teams, right? Players are then willing to take the vet minimum, come in, play their role, and win a championship. So that is definitely a possibility for what veteran players in this market is going to do that. Like, who's going to move the needle? And that is going to be the tricky part. The next concern, of course, is Bradley Beal just signing the max deal, the 5 year, $241 million contract. He is now going into year 2 of that deal. He'll be making $57 million at the end of his deal when he is 33 years old. Bradley Beal turns 30 in just about a week or so. I believe the 28th of this month, Bradley Beal turns 30 years old. So he'll be making $57 million at the age of 33. We have seen Bradley Beal start to get injury prone as of late. Only played 50 games last season. We've seen his production dip a little bit. So what player are you going to get, you know, in that 2026-2027 season making $57 million? Then it could potentially become a bad deal. But for the Phoenix Suns, I don't think they're really worried that deep. You know, they are trying to win, and they are trying to win now. And you can tell with the new ownership, that is a priority. They don't care how much money they have to spend. They don't care about how many future assets you have to give up. They want to win. They want to win now. They have Kevin Durant. He is under contract until he is 37 years old. They want a championship while Kevin Durant is there. You have Devin Booker, who's going to get a max deal, I would assume, next summer. That is going to be a priority to try to make sure he comes in, and he's going to be, what, 30, 32 by the time that deal is done. His max deal that he'll sign next summer is done. So you have a window if you're the Phoenix Suns, and you're going to try to make a championship, at least one championship, happen out of that window. So to get a player like Bradley Beal, if you're the Lakers, for example, I don't think that's a player you go get, right? Because you don't want to be tied to a player that's going to age with your already old roster. If you're a team like Phoenix that has already pushed everything out on the table, trying to win now, I like this move a lot for the Phoenix Suns. Now, for the Washington Wizards, it's iffy because you did not have to trade Bradley Beal. Even though he wanted to leave, he had a no trade clause. You had him under contract. But I think this was more of a good faith move. Just saying, you did so much for the city, we're not going to try to seem, you know, mean, essentially, right? We're going to go ahead and try to get you out of here, get the best that we could potentially get. Like I said, I don't expect Chris Paul to stay there. I have not heard anything at all regarding a buyout, but just my logic will say a buyout will probably take place there. But other than that, besides Chris Paul, I mean, the draft picks, a couple of pick swaps, we'll see exactly what it ends up being later down the road. But you're rebuilding again if you're the Washington Wizards. So we'll see what ultimately happens. But you guys let me know, what do you guys think about this trade in the comment section below? Are you a fan of it, especially from the Phoenix Suns perspective? You now have 4 max guys. What do you do with DeAndre Ayton? Do you keep him, or do you try to leverage Ayton into other assets? Let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. It's DLloyd. I'm see y'all next time. Peace.